Good morning. Happy Saturday. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Isn't It Time? Oh, it's not the Isn't It Time Facebook Live show. Wow, that rolled off the tongue. Welcome to this Facebook Live this morning, and we're going to be talking about intuitive eating, why this is such a simple concept but so difficult to implement. We're going to be I'm going to be answering questions about why so many people find it so difficult to get their heads around, and there can be some doubt and fear about it. And of course, a question I get asked all the time. So if I eat the chocolate, good morning, Selena, good morning. If I eat the chocolate, morning, Pauline. If I eat the chocolate, is it being intuitive or am I making excuses? Good morning, Tracy. As you pop on, just let me know that you can hear me, and good morning, Nick, and then we'll keep going because I want to make this as interactive as possible, bearing in mind there's a little delay. So what I want to do is share the information with you. Good morning, Nick. Good morning, Trish. As we'll go on, but as you have questions, just ask them, and then I'll get back to them when we later on. So I hope you've got a cup of tea. I have got my new favourite thing in the mornings, a cup of hot water with a drop of doTERRA lemon and a doTERRA ginger. I was saying to a client the other day, it's like I just crave it now. I just love it. So if you've got your tea, your coffee, notepad, and let's go. So let me ask you first this question, and you can just indicate yes or no or a heart. Have you tried intuitive eating? I just want to know if you've tried it and you feel you're doing okay with it, or you've tried it and it's challenging, or you've never heard of it before. Just let me know in the comments so I could get an idea of where you are at with this. A little bit of the background of this. I first started practicing this myself back in the 80s, but in 1995 started teaching it. And it just was not acceptable in those days. Nobody knew what it was. It was too way out. In those days, it was all about the food pyramid. Remember the very old food pyramid, with things like, all your fats at the bottom, fats at the top, carbohydrates at the bottom, and it was very kind of basic, but it was also the era of low fat. So coming along with a concept of trusting your body was really, really unacceptable almost. It's like, what right do we have? It's really interesting now, fast forward to 2020, and it is now the new thing. Now, there was a book written about it in 1996, believe it or not, and I didn't find out about this till a couple of years ago. So that book was written in 1996. I actually submitted a manuscript to a publisher here in Australia in 1995, and it was turned down because it wasn't the time. Now, of course, it's people are really starting to get this concept of learning to trust in our bodies, and I think as we evolve as individuals, that's what's happening. And as that happens, as we take more charge of who we are and become more self-aware, those old models of restricted eating or intensive exercise around either releasing weight or maintaining weight are just old-fashioned. There's a couple of reasons for that. Number one, it screws up your metabolism. Anytime over the age of 40, you do not want to be doing any form of restricted eating or any form of intensive exercise in order to maintain a certain weight or shape, because it really screws up your metabolism. And I'll share with you why. One is our body has a natural inbuilt kind of starvation levels. And when we don't put enough food into our body, our metabolism slows down. The mitochondria in the muscle, which creates our energy, slows right down. And that's why, for instance, people in the concentration camps in Germany in the 1940s were able to survive for so long on so little food, is that their body's metabolism slowed right down. It's a natural way we were able to cope in the times of feast and famine. Now, if every time you go on a diet and you're restricting those calories, the metabolism will your metabolism will slow down because you're sending it a message you're not going to put enough food into your body. So it slows down. And so that as we age, that gets worse because we naturally begin to lose muscle mass as we age. So our metabolism begins to slow down anyway. The second thing about it is when we have restricted diets or we've dieted on and off for years, it impacts on our telomeres. Now, the telomeres are really important they sit on the end of our DNA, and they're very important for rejuvenating cells. And as we age, our telomeres naturally shorten due to aging process. But added to that, good morning, Elle, added to that is that if you eat a typically Western type diet of high processed carbohydrates, high sugars, and you go on diets and you put on weight taken off over the years, those telomeres shorten. So it's aging you at the same time. So if I haven't scared you enough yet into thinking, I don't want to do this anymore, think of your metabolism, think of the aging process. So the two things, if nothing else you get from this today, it's understanding how it's impacting on your metabolism and your aging process. And that's why it's so important that we begin. Good morning, Sheila. Good morning, Deirdre. Good morning, Alison. Everybody else that I've missed. Good morning, good morning. Thank you for being here in the early morning. I hope you've got your cup of tea ready. So what I'm going to do with you now is share with you why this intuitive eating process is so freeing. I often share when I'm working with clients that we have, just popped my button. We often share, wrong Facebook Live, right? We often share, thanks, Nick. It does explain a lot. I often share with my clients that when you, in our lives, there's three big things. I'm thinking about my button popping, just giggling to myself in my head. That's a whole other Facebook Live. There's three things. So there's body, relationships, and weight, right? Body, relationships, and weight. The path to healing one of those or all of those is exactly the same. So you'll have people who have no issues with their body, but has struggled with their finances and money. Or you'll have somebody who has great relationships but struggles with their weight, or vice versa. The path to healing all three of those is exactly the same. The thing about intuitive eating, I feel, is like the last frontier for many of us. The last frontier for many women. Yes, Deidre, it's going on in my mind. The last frontier, I'm still giggling about it. The last frontier, okay? So this is where I find it's like we take control and we're in charge of so many other aspects of our lives. But when it comes to food and weight, this is just it's like this last issue that we have to overcome. And I have to tell you, what I've noticed with people when they're practicing intuitive eating and when they start working with me and we're going through this process, that other aspects of their lives change. Whether that be money, whether that be relationships or in business, because the same path. It's the same path with just various aspects. Good morning, Deborah. So, why is it so hard? All right, we have anywhere from 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day, according to the National Science Foundation. 12,000 to 60,000 thoughts per day. Of those thoughts we have per day, 95% of them, 95% are exactly the thoughts we had yesterday. So we keep rethinking the same thoughts, just in different ways. Of those 95%, of the 95% of those thoughts, 80%, up to 80% are negative. Why? Because it's easier for the brain to think negatively. We don't require that much more energy to think negatively. It takes more energy to think positively. So when we're thinking negatively all the time, we create these well-worn neural pathways. Right? And so you just naturally fall into this thinking negatively. Now, let's do a bit of math. So let's say 12,000 to 60,000. Let's choose something right in the middle. Let's say 30,000 for argument's sake. Say about 30,000 thoughts you're having a day, right? If 30,000 thoughts a day and 95% of those are the same ones you had yesterday, that's about 28,500 thoughts. Just take those 28,500 thoughts that you've had the same thoughts every single day, and 80% of those are negative. That means around about 22,000 or so, give or take a few thousand, of the thoughts you're having each day are the same thoughts you had yesterday, and they're negative. Now, here's the thing. You don't know it, right? Because we're not aware of them. They're just... Have you ever tried to meditate? Do you know trying to meditate and how hard it is to turn that mind off, those thoughts? We're not even aware of them half the time. Good morning, Margaret. We're not even aware of them half the time, right? So if you have 22,000 negative thoughts a day, what percentage of those are about your body, your weight, what you can do, what you can't do, who you are, beating yourself up, blah, 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 blah. Like, here I go again. And they're like little, arrows, just firing at you all the time. So with that amount of thoughts going on, the only way to change it, right? The only way to change, you've got to create a disruption to those thoughts, a physical disruption. And that's what intuitive eating sets out to do. We set out to create a disruption to the thoughts, because your mind constantly is bombarded with information about what's good for us. Good food, bad food, health food, superfood, terrible food, whatever. Constantly. It's constantly. Do you walk in, are you like this? You walk into a coffee shop, right? To order coffee, a cup of tea, and that refrigerated cabinet sitting in front of you, of all the choices. Do you go, too much fat, too much calorie, too much sugar, too much, or is that gluten-free? Is that, like, automatically the mind is going to what can I can't have, not what you want. And I'm going to share why that's important in a minute. Not what you want, and why this is so important in this process of intuitive eating I'm going to share right now. So if you've got around 22,000, let's say, give or take a few thousand, negative thoughts a day, how many of those are about your body, what you can do, the food you eat and you shouldn't eat? How many of those are tied up? Now, if you're the type of person who has been carrying extra weight for a while and you're feeling kind of, frumpy, and, you're kind of pulling out those fat clothes all the time, right? Those negative thoughts are constantly going in the mind. You're going to somewhere, you're going to a function and you're trying to find something to wear. Put it on, doesn't fit, throw it on the bed. Put it on, doesn't fit, throw it on the bed. All the while you're doing that, there's this thought process running about, I feel fat, I feel frumpy, I feel old, and they're just arrows. So what we do with intuitive eating is try and create that disruption. So I've shared with you why restrictive eating messes up your metabolism. Hope that got there. And makes you older. I hope you got that. If that's not enough, you don't want to adopt this, well then there you go. All right, so let's get on to my notes where I am. I've talked about that. I've talked about how we're doing. How are we doing? Just a reminder, if some of this is just kind of resonating with you, I'm going to pop in the group there. You can work with me, and I'm opening up my... I can't find it in here. I'm opening up my books for this week, so if you want to have a little chat about that, just let me know. But I'm going to get on further now. We're going to talk about why... yeah, there we go. There we go. Got it. I'm just going to pop it in here if you want to. I can't get my thing to work. All right, here we go. A couple of years ago, I was teaching about intuitive eating, and I realized it wasn't expansive enough. So I created a 4-step process that can help a little bit, and that's what I'm going to explain to you today. So if you've got your pen and paper handy, this is what I'm going to be talking about today. So the 4-step process, I call it the 4-step methodology to light it. It can help you kind of create a framework to work with. So the first step, imagine that there's a quadrant, and on the top quadrant is what I use the word is individual. And the words we use here to create the disruption, remember we're creating the disruption, the words I use here is I now allow myself to eat anything I want. Now, the key words here are allow and want. Do you know, in this process, as I'm working with clients, what I'm discovering more and more so is how we have limited our ability to give ourselves permission to have what we want. Do you know, I was only reading just recently something about Meghan Markle. And somebody's coined the phrase, you know, what Meghan wants, Meghan gets. And I thought, you know, what's wrong with that? Because we all grew up probably, right, with this belief that if you got what you wanted, you were greedy. Like, don't ask for too much. Don't expect too much. Get what you're given. Be grateful for what you're given. And so there's a part of us that pulls back from actually allowing ourselves to have what we want, not what our body needs. Now, the diet industry, the diet culture, is selling you what you need all the time, right? You need this for nourishment. You need this for health. You need this for energy. But your body knows that already, naturally. And so if you are in restriction, right, you're restricting food, and you're not listening to your body when your body says, I need some salt or I need some sugar because I'm creating cells here that haven't got enough nutrients and I need it fast, and you put a lid on that and say, no, I'm not having that. I'm going to have some celery juice instead because that's what my body needs. You are sending a message to your body right there, right then. It doesn't know what it's talking about. And yet, most of these women you on the call this morning have all grown babies. All by yourselves, right? Somebody, helped you in the beginning, but the rest of the time you did it all by yourself. Your body knows. I mean, the whole process of that conception process is amazing. Like, how do the cells know where to put the heart and the liver and the lungs and the brain and grow the fingernails? How do the cells know that? They just do. So when you don't listen to what your body wants, right? Because it already knows what it needs. Now it's telling you what it wants. What you're saying is, I don't need to listen to you. You're not telling me the right thing. That's right, Deirdre. If you get what you want, you are spoilt. Spoilt girls aren't nice girls. Hallelujah. Yes. Right? Any Catholics on the call today? We were five hands up. Yeah. So there's an issue about us allowing ourselves to have what we want. And every time they say something about Meghan Markle, my thought is, well, good for her. Really? Good for her. Where have we adopted this thing that at some point, if we want something, it's bad for us? We can't have it. That's why those words, I now allow myself to eat anything I want, are so powerful. And do you know what comes up for a lot of people in this part is value and worth. Who am I to think I can have what I want? Who do I think I am? All those beliefs, all those people, the words, the events of your past that lay down belief that you're not worthy to have what you want, that manufacture in those 22,800 or whatever thoughts, negative thoughts per day, are tied up in that first quadrant. That's why this is so difficult for many people, because you've got to get over this, right? You've got to get past I can't have what I want because that makes me, as Deirdre just says, not a nice girl. Whoa, gosh, imagine. I'm going to let you sit with that for a minute. Let me know if that's resonating with you. All right, quadrant 1, individual. Quadrant 2, this is where the intuitive part sits, right? So it's, I now allow myself to eat anything I want. Number 2, what does my body really feel like? We are incredible human beings, and especially us as women. We are incredibly intuitive and incredibly powerful. But so often we cut off the intuition because we're going over in our heads what we think is right, okay? This is the diet culture yelling at you. This is nutrition culture yelling at you. This is people yelling at you, just telling you that what you feel like your body isn't right. And the problem in this part is that the fight you've got is with those thoughts. Because what if I feel like chocolate for breakfast? Oh, can't have that, right? Oh, that's terrible. Oh, what would people think? Oh, that's bad for me. It's got sugar and sugar. Like our brain constantly going, not that I condone having chocolate for breakfast, but I'm just saying, that's just an example. That's where, for me, I've really embraced this intermittent fasting. If you intermittent fast, let me know. If you've not tried it or you're just a bit weary about it, let me know. When I first came across intermittent fasting, I went, no, not going there. That sounds like dieting. That sounds like restriction. I am not going there. But there was this little voice in my head, right? I came across an article written about the 16-8, where you actually restrict eating for 16 hours and only eat in the window of 8, right? So that's, finished dinner at 7 and then don't have breakfast and then have your normal breakfast around 11. So you just extend that about 3 or 4 hours from when you'd normally have breakfast. And when I read that, I thought, there's a part of me like, oh gosh, you've got to have breakfast, main meal of the day, right? If you don't have breakfast, then that's bad for you. And I remember when my kids used to go to school and my youngest used to kick up a stink because she hated breakfast. She'd say, Mum, it makes me feel sick. I was working at the school at the time. I thought, no child of mine is going to school without breakfast. I don't care whether it makes you sick or not, you're going to eat it. Oh, God. Talk about, right, the thought process. I have actually never liked breakfast. Never. I mean, I'm an early morning riser. I get up at 4:30, between 4:30 and 5. I'll often not have anything to eat till 8, and sometimes then I don't feel like anything. But because the breakfast thing, you have to have breakfast, is locked into my subconscious, I thought, how can I not, how can I not have breakfast? So, excuse me for a second. There's a belief coming up for me. What's that all about, I wonder? So I couldn't have breakfast. And one day I thought, what if I didn't have breakfast? Would the world come to an end? Surprisingly, it didn't. And surprisingly, I feel so much better. And I'm going to have to tap on whatever that was when I'm sharing. Yes, Deb, you're doing the 16-8. Do you notice, Deb, because I certainly do, I notice I think more clearly. I notice I'm not as tired. I don't know, go figure. But listening to my body. So, what does my body really feel like? So next time you go and have a coffee and you're standing at that refrigerated cabinet, ask yourself, what does my body really feel like? Take out all that nutrition knowledge. What does my body really feel like? Excuse me for a second. Let's just let those essential oils work, shall we? All right, so 1 and 2. Individual, intuitive. Number 3, not as tired. Me too, Deb, not as tired. It's amazing, isn't it? And a lot clearer of thought. Interesting process. Intentional. This is the 4th part, right? Intentional. And this is where I use the words, I choose to honour my feelings. I choose to honour the feeling my body is telling me. And you know what comes up here each and every time is where you've sabotaged in the past. Undoing all the beliefs that have had you playing small. All those times you've handed over your power to others, all the times others have taken your power, that comes up in this quadrant. See, it's more than just about food, this intuitive eating, right? It's more than that. It's the basis of it. You know, Maslow's hierarchy, number 1 is food and shelter, right? You've got to take care of food and shelter before you can move up the self-actualization path. So food's the basic one, but it's more than that. You know, it's about how you value yourself. whether you are willing to truly trust in the fact that that wisdom is in your body, and the reason that you have not acted on it, honoured it in the past, are the people, the words, the events of your past that have told you you're not smart enough, clever enough, bright enough, worthy enough. All that is tied up in this third quadrant about the words I choose. How many times have you felt you had to do something because it was the right thing to do, because someone told you it was, because you were worried about what people thought if you didn't do what you wanted to do, or you did do what you wanted to do? You're constantly worried about what you say and whether that's going to upset people. That sits in this quadrant. Isn't it incredibly powerful how food has this and our body has this amazing ability to be holding all this stuff? As I said, it's the last frontier. You get this right when you know, and it's an ongoing process, by the way. Some days I get it right and some days I don't. But whenever I'm not in that flow, I ask myself the question. I now allow myself to eat anything I want. What does my body really feel like? I choose to honour those feelings. What's going on for me? What's going on for me? Because my choices are not being dictated by the frontal lobes of my brain. Not doing that. My choices are being dictated by what I believe I'm allowed to do. Simple as that. Anna, so true. I was brought up that way. What will people say? Exactly, Anna. Exactly. If I get what I want, what are people going to say about me? I'm greedy. I'm not nice, as Deirdre said before. It's just this incredible thing we have tied up. And do you know what we've done? What we've done is handed over our power to somebody who's created a diet for us because we have not lost the ability to do this ourselves. That's all that's happened. And every time you have a limiting belief, it weighs heavily on your body. Your body reflects what you believe about yourself. You know, this is about really stepping into the power of you. The power of you. Yep, Margaret, exactly. We've been conditioned to play small, exactly. And here's the thing, we don't know it. We don't know it. Instead, we sit down at night and eat a box of chocolates or a bowl of ice cream because we're so tired of playing small, and we choose some foods that for the moment are going to make us feel better. For that moment. And then you finish it and you go into that whole shame storm. You know, as Brene Brown calls it, that shame storm. I shouldn't have eaten it. There you go. I've got no discipline. I've got no will. You go straight into that. Bam, up come the negative thoughts, 20,000 of them flicking away at you, morning and night, by the way. And it all starts again the next day. And that's why this is so hard to get to conceptualize, because it's not about the food. Really, it's not about the food. It's the reason why you don't listen to your body. That's what this is all about. So it's not about the food, it's why you choose the food that you eat. Am I making sense? Hands up, like, hearts, let me know if I'm going along, because we're going to get on to number 4 in a minute. And I'm just going to, if this is resonating with you and you would really like to have a chat with me, I'm going to see if I can put it in here. I can't. I'm going to have to end it later. Oh, there it is. I can add it here. Oh, there's all your comments. I've just got my computer open here. I'm going to put it in later because it's not, for some reason, it's not letting me put the link in. But I'll link in later. Good. It's resonating. Lovely. Thank you. How are we doing for time? Oh, we're about half an hour in. So I'm going to have, as you're thinking of asking questions, makes too much sense. Tracy. Yes, makes too much sense. It does. I have to tell you, because my own journey was very restrictive, right? I was a fitness instructor for 15 years. I used to teach 4 aerobic classes a day. I would run still 10 kilometres and live on, rice cakes and cottage cheese. I mean, all the fitness instructors did back in the 80s. We all did. We were all just super restricted in our eating, and because we were standing up in front of people, teaching classes. My butt was the thing you saw, and it wore G-string leotards. Can you believe it? We actually wore G-string lycra leotards. I mean, give me a break. What were we thinking? But anyway, that's what we did. So, I'm standing up in front of 30 to 40 people 4 times a day in G-string leotards. I don't want any wibblers. Thank goodness we got the lycra, the lycra tights that were tight, cut off the circulation. But my restricted eating was so bad that I wouldn't let an ounce of fat cross my lips. Not an ounce. Cut it off. I would just make sure I almost scrape the skin off the chicken. I'd eat broiled fish, dry, nothing. Salad with no dressing. Ooh. And then there was this night. For those of you who have come to my seminars, you've heard this before, but there was this night that Jerry asked me a question that totally changed my life. And he simply asked me. He used to put, I happen to marry somebody who is naturally thin and can eat anything he wants, but doesn't like what. Talk about the universe throwing things at you to show you what you should do for your purpose. His weight hasn't changed in the almost 40 years I've known him. Life is not fair. But when he would eat anything he wanted, and he asked me this night, would I like some sour cream on my dry potato baked? And I went, no, it's fattening. And he reached in, teaspoon of sour cream, put it on the teaspoon and said, how can a teaspoon of sour cream put on a pound of weight? That was my disruptive moment. That changed everything for me. And that's what led me down this path. And with intuitive eating, I've got a handle on it when I'm self-actualized, when I'm able to work on my own issues, right? But if I'm going through any issues, challenges, like over Christmas when our kids weren't here and I was really sad and I ate every single box of chocolate that people gave us. Everybody gave us chocolate this year. And I would just eat them and I couldn't stop until I figured out what was going on and I could release it. Then I stopped eating the chocolate. It was then I stopped eating the chocolate. But I had to get to the reason why I was trying to, what I was using the chocolate for. And the chocolate was, I felt sad the kids weren't here. I felt really sad. I hated Christmas this year, by the way, just quietly. Just quietly, because they weren't here. First time we've had no kids for Christmas. And I went through a whole blah, 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 blah. How did I solve that? I ate chocolate. About 7 boxes of it. Of Christmas. The minute I figured it out, connected to the belief, the moment I first felt left out, unloved, why me, all that stuff, it gone. It went. I didn't need to eat it anymore. I didn't even need to eat it. So, I'm going to quickly go over the 3 steps if you've got your notes there. Number 1 is individual. You as the individual. I now allow myself to eat anything I want. I want, not need, want. Where does that fit comfortably with you? Because if there's ding, 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 ding. Oh, thanks. Oh, thank you, Nick. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Sad month in January, losing 5 pounds. Oh, my goodness. Isn't that interesting, Deb? I'm so sorry to hear that January. I saw your post come through, actually. I didn't realise what that was all about. I'm so sorry to hear that. Yes, but isn't that interesting? Okay, so the body, in order to deal with the grief, right, you're trying to solve that pain with the food. That's what it is. That's all it is. And when you get to the reason why, it goes, I don't need you anymore. Go. I now allow myself to eat anything I want. What does my body really need? What does my body really need? Number 3, I choose to honour the messages without judgment. Without judgment. Because in here is where you'll find the issues that are really going on, right? It's right where you find. And the last one, we're getting on to the last one now. And then I'm going to, more questions, if you've got more questions, just keep running them and I'll throw through them, is what I call informed. And there's 2 aspects of this part, informed. Number 1 is, how does this food make me feel? And this is about when you learn to honour your body, not eat because you've been told to by somebody, right? You're eating because you're listening to what your body needs. You know, how many times in the past, hands up, have you eaten something because somebody told you it was good for you? Wheatgrass is the thing that comes to mind straight away for me. Wheatgrass. Wheatgrass. And you pay for it, like $5, right? For a little thing of wheatgrass. And I ate it, I drank it religiously for 2 years because I thought it was good for me. Oh, for goodness sake. Really? And my body the whole time was saying, you're not a cow. It's like, how many things have you done? How many times have you actually, or have you done this? I feel like a chocolate. Not having the chocolate. I feel like the, hands up, Nicole. I feel like the chocolate. No. I know I'm going to have, wheatgrass is disgusting. I'm going to have celery. Yeah, I'm going to have celery. So you have the celery, right? Still feel like chocolate. I know what I'm going to have. Rice crackers with, I'm just going to put some peanut butter and sultanas on them, right? Right? So there you have 3 of them. Still feel the chocolate. And you find the Nutella in the pantry. And you find yourself shoveling the Nutella in. If you just had the chocolate, none of this would have happened. Often what we do, we don't honour those feelings, so our body goes looking for it somewhere else. Hands up if you've ever done that. All right, here we go. What does my body, how does this make my body feel? There are 2 things for me that I discovered. One was anything with wheat and dairy, wheat and gluten in it. I've eaten so many things avoiding the chocolate, absolutely, Nick. It just makes me feel uncomfortable. I don't know if I'm gluten intolerant. I don't know if I'm pesticide intolerant. I don't know if I'm wheat intolerant. But I know if I eat bread or pasta, I feel uncomfortable and bloated, and you don't want to stand downwind from me. That's just the way it is. Now, does it mean I'm going to stop eating bread forever? No. I love a well-baked sourdough bread. Oh, to die for, right? So I'm going to have that, right? And I just know for that, next 2 or 3 days, I'm going to feel really uncomfortable. I'm going to feel bloated. So I choose, for the most part, not to have it. I don't want to feel the bloatedness. It's not about restricting, I can't have bread. It's because I'm making the decision not to have it. I don't want to feel bloated. I don't want to feel I'm, passing wind every 5 minutes. That's it. The other one for me was dairy. Oh, that broke my heart. I love King Island double brie cheese. Glass of champagne, Friday night, brie cheese on the table. I could eat the whole wheel, like that. And I've told this story before. Apologies if you heard it. For those who haven't heard this story before, one day we were filming. I used to see on my videos that some days I'd look really bloated, like puffy. My eyes, and I think, how come I look so tired? Yucky. And I couldn't connect it until one day we were filming videos over 2 days, over the weekend. And first lot of videos on the Saturday, perfectly fine. They were fine. When I looked at the videos that we'd done on the Sunday, I thought, how come I look so bloated and kind of tired? My eyes are kind of like swollen. And it hit me. The night before, we'd had cheese and crackers and a bottle of wine. That's what we had for dinner, by the way. Cheese and crackers and a bottle of wine. And I'm like, oh no, please no, don't tell me it's the cheese. Sure enough, it was the cheese. The minute I cut dairy out of my diet, I just didn't feel as gluggy anymore. The inflammation went down. Everything changed. Does it stop me having dairy occasionally? No. But it's a choice. Okay, that's the informed part of it. That's the choice I make. I know if I have dairy, like what did we have the other night? I know. Jerry made a vegetarian pasta, spaghetti, and we put Parmesan cheese on top. You can't have pasta without Parmesan cheese on top, because quietly. And the next day, of course, my face was swelled up. I live with it. Decided not to do any videos that day, right? But it's not a decision I am forced to make. I'm making it myself. I put my belief in my body to make the decisions. The choice is always mine. The choice is always mine. I have a choice to feel this way or that way. And it's not denial. It's not restriction. It's just that's what I choose. And now there's so many wonderful alternatives. It's just great. Now, the other part informed, I wanted just to share this with you. So there's one, how does the food make you feel? The other part of informed is understanding the pain of the past, right? So on that day, you know, at Christmas time when I was eating the 7 boxes of chocolates, which actually made me feel terrible afterwards, but I had to figure out what the belief was that kept me eating it even though I didn't want to. And that belief, that pattern that lay deep down inside was, you know, feeling like I'm missing out. How come I always miss out? And you know what it was? It was not getting invited to a birthday party when I was like 7 or something, and I found out about it. That popped up. My poor little 7-year-old self. Nobody loved her. Once I figured that out and could reframe that whole thing and make other decisions about what we're going to do this year with the kids, once I reframed that, I was okay. I stopped eating the chocolate. Because the body, right, it just reflects. And the food choices reflect what you believe about yourself. But you go in there and create the disruptor to the thought process, and everything changes. It's the disruptor that you have to change. You can't think this. You can't think your way out of it. You don't know what that 22,800 thoughts, negative thoughts a day you're having. You're not even aware of them half the time. And that's why this is a process, right? It's a process. It's not like an 8-week thing, not like a 12-week boot camp. It isn't like that. This is an ongoing process. In times in my life, I've come in of it and out of it, in it and out of it. But I know, for me and for many of you on the call, unfortunately, food is our drug of choice when we don't feel good. Right? That's what we choose. It's easy. No one's going to... If you're sitting in the car eating a packet of Tim Hams because you feel really bad about something, no one's going to bat an eyelid. You sit in the car and drink a bottle of wine, somebody's going to say something. It's just what we reach for to calm the emotional response. And it's the digging down to find it. Because in most cases, as so many people that I work with, how we start off working together and where we end up on a single call, on a single call, can be 2 entirely different things. That's the beauty of this process. That's what I love about it. It's because you actually don't know half the time what's driving your choices. It's only when you can share it with someone and speak it out. And what I do is I'm always listening to the words you're not saying. That's what I'm doing. You know, that's why the work I do is so intuitive and no 2 calls are ever the same. Because I'm listening consistently to the words you're not saying. And, you know, I do this thing where I go, okay, well, you tell me a story and then something will happen. And I actually get this physical sensation in my body. It's like, oh, hang on. It just goes like a jarring. Go, wait. What did you just say? And then we go down the rabbit warren and there'll be something you haven't even thought of. Because if you keep repeating the pattern over and over again, but a lot of people on this call use EFT. Just let me know if you use EFT. Most of the people I can see are EFTs. If you're using EFT or you're using meditation or you're using visualization and you are still repeating the same patterns, you haven't shifted the belief. That's all it is. You haven't shifted it. And sometimes you can't see it yourself. You can't see it yourself because you can't hear it. Right? Yep, Deirdre, yep. You can't see it. So if you have a pattern in your life, if you are still holding on to the same pattern, if you're wanting to release the weight that no longer serves you, and it's still there, and you're still yes, tapping right now, Nick. If you're still struggling with emotional eating, man, you haven't shifted it. It's just as simple as that. And we're complicated human beings, right? We're really complicated human beings. So if you would like a strategy session with me, have a chat to see if I can help you. I've got 3 or 4 different ways you can work with me now, and we can figure out if something works for you around you. I've got 3 or 4 different. I sent an email out this week showing the different ways you can work. I've also, if you're on the Gold Coast, we've got the Lighter event coming up in March 24, and where I'll be delving deeply into this. I did want to touch on one thing before I go, before we finish. So if you've got questions, put them in now, because I'm just going to share this. One of the things that is really important in this process is movement, okay, exercise, and the reason being is that movement changes up that disruptive thought process by increasing the endorphins in the brain so you think more clearly. But it's the actual movement that can help you. So exercise, getting the heart pumping a little bit, doing some strength work, which is going to turn your metabolism around, is very important. So, and I have in the Lighter program, I've pared everything down. So you do 20 minutes of walking, a few minutes of strength work, and that's enough to help you change that metabolism around. So if anybody who is on the call and is not exercising, you would be if you start working with me. You will be. But I really believe in simplicity, making everything fit. But what if you are? And I can see what if you are, but I can't see the rest of it. So, yes, so if you would like a strategy session with me, I'm going to put a link in, and I don't know why that is not working right now. I'm going to put a link in. What if you're just too lazy to exercise? Anna, no such thing. There's no such thing as just laziness. There's actually something going on, and that's a limitation. So procrastination, laziness, boredom, frustration are masks, to something else going on. It's all about self-worth and value. We can say we procrastinate, we can say we're lazy, but actually that's not the real reason. So when you get underneath the real reason to give you the energy to do what you want, and the other thing about it, Anna, just quietly, do you know, it's got to be simple and only take a short period of time, because if it's too long, you're not going to do it. That's when it's too hard, right? It's got to be 20 minutes, under 30, as I say. Nick, so is wanting chocolate intuitive? Can be. It can be, Nick. There's nothing wrong with having chocolate. I eat chocolate at night, so we often have chocolate at night. But I'm happy to have 2 pieces, right? I'm happy to have 2. In intuitive eating, there are no rules, none whatsoever. No rules. And so when you are restrictive eating, that's when you are putting the rules on. And for every diet, there's an equal and opposite binge just waiting to happen. You know that, right? You know that. It's, the Einstein's theory of relativity. Einstein's theory of relativity. There we go, got it out. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. For every diet, there's an equal and opposite binge. Right? I'm just going to see if I can... there we go. For some reason, this is not picking up. I'm going to put the link to the strategy session if you would like to have one with me. Trish. Oh, thanks, Trish. Okay, thank you. Thank you for being on the call. And not letting me put it in. I don't know why. I will put it on as soon as the call finishes. If you would like a strategy session with me, I'd love to have a chat with you. And let me... I often can figure out in our call that... I can often figure out what's going on for you. So I'm pretty upfront with if I can help you or not. So if you want, I'm actually said I'm going to pop it in the thing, and I don't know why. There we go, paste. Oh, there it is right there. There it is right there. So if you would like a strategy session, click on there, book a time with me. I've got pretty up and down all over the place this week. So if any of those don't fit for you, just message me and I will find something else. We've just got one of those weeks. This week I've got 3 events coming up in March, and I'm all over the place. So if you'd like to have a chat with me, love to. And as Nike says, just do it. Yeah, Nick. Oh, thanks, Deborah. Yep. Fantastic. All right, any more questions before I go? Thank you, everybody, for being on the call and staying on for so long. It's fantastic. Excellent. Let me know. Oh, Trish, so good to be home from my... Oh, nice, Trish. All right, Trish, you know what? Yeah, the link's there, Trish. And if I know you're really busy too, so you just let me know if we can work. Great, Margaret. I look forward to talking to you on Monday. Deirdre, thank you, Deirdre. Great. Thank you for being on the call. Lovely to connect with you again. Thank you, Nick. Thanks, Nick. Have a great Saturday, everybody. Have a great Saturday. A little bit cooler. Oh, by the way, anybody want to ask anybody to marry them today? 29th of February. You're welcome, Al. Geo girl. Although I didn't let a leap year stand in my way of proposing to my husband. Seemed to be okay. Thanks, Pauline. Thanks, Elle. Have a wonderful 29th of February. A leap year Saturday. You're welcome, Tracy. Great to see you again. And thank you, everybody. I look forward to talking to you, having a strategy session if that's what you would like. I'd love to be able to help you. All right. Bye for now. See you soon.